Hello and welcome to our English news coming to you from Canal, Algérie. First, the top stories of the news. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, extends his heartfelt condolences following the death of the Algerian iconic artist Hamza Firouli, tantamount of joy for several Algerian generations. The history window of colonial France tonight is devoted to in-occur nuclear explosions and other atrocities perpetrated during the Liberation War. And Morocco citizens takes to the street once again to denounce the current regime and its repressive policy. Welcome back. First in our news, Hamza Firouli, an iconic Algerian artist, passed away on Friday at the age of 86. Following these sad events, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, extended a condolences message to the late family with a resigned heart. To Allah will the President of the Republic learn the death of Hamza Firouli. May God bestow him his holy mercy and accept him in his first paradise. The head of state expressed his deep sympathy to the artist family, recalling his matchless values of this figure who marked generations of Algerians with his masterpieces that are still engraved within their memories, bringing joy to them during notably dire circumstances. May Allah bestow him mercy and grant comfort to his family. To Allah we belong, and to him we shall return, concludes the President of the Republic. The artist Hamza Firouli has passed away at the age of 86 after a long struggle with illness, leaving a lasting mark on Algeria's cultural landscape known as Mama Masouda, impacted entire generations. Story by Manal Mafa.
نهار كامل وانا طيب، نهار كامل يضرب زوج لترات حليب، القهوة، الكسوري، كل شو هاب دايرت قدام، وراه 7:30 راه طلع النهار وهو راك حديد وين؟ نو 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 هيا نو نو نو.
A true success story. Hamza Firouli rose to fame in the 1970s with Hdidwan playing Mama Masouda, a warm yet firm mother figure. In one memorable episode, Hdidwan ignores her advice, removes his coat and ends up with a nasty flu. A timeless lesson on the value of parental wisdom.
ما تبطلش هيا ما تقعدش تفطر رواح. والباطو ورا الباطو
عرفت ما الباطو اللي كنت فيه تعرفي بلي كنت نجري وجراو مورايا السراقين وداو لي الباطو سرقوا لي الباطو.
صار غير انت السراقين داو لك الباطو. خرج الباطو.
This beloved comedic and educational series captivated audiences in Algeria and beyond. Hdidwan and Mama Masouda became childhood icons, bringing families together for moments of pure joy in an era when all eyes were on Algeria's only TV channel. But Hamza Firouli was more than an actor. He was a storyteller, a transmitter of emotions, and a defining voice in Algerian popular culture. Born in 1938 in Tiaret province, he was also known for Kouider Zaddam in Le Clandestin 1989 and roles in L'Honneur de la Tribu 1993 and Morituri in 2007. On television, he shrined in Qaid Zaman, Dar Jiran, Badhou and Kafi Mimoun. With his talent, simplicity and humility, Hamza Firouli left an indelible mark. The departure of Mama Masouda takes with it a cherished piece of our own childhoods.
هذا الشيء قاعد هنا انا خايتك. وهذه الشيء.
A big loss indeed. Hamza Firouli was buried after Al-Asr prayer in Tiaret province, where present the culture minister, Zohair Yillu, the province governor and the local authorities, in addition to figures in the realm of culture and arts. To another story now. Algeria expresses its solidarity with Myanmar following the strong earthquake that hit the country on Friday. The foreign ministry indicated in a press release that Algeria extends its condolences and expresses its sympathy with Myanmar, wishing swift recovery to the wounded. Algeria stands as well with the people of Myanmar during this ordeal and is ready to offer all forms of aid and support and participate in rescue operations to alleviate the suffering of people hit by the quake. To the history window now devoted to Inca nuclear explosion. France's second test in the Algerian Sahara took a disaster turn when an underground blast released a massive radioactive cloud spreading across the region and beyond. Min al-Ma'afa with the full story.
As Algeria nears independence, France continues its nuclear tests in the Sahara. At In Iker, the burial explosion meant to be contained underground turns disastrous. The rock gives way under pressure, releasing a radioactive cloud that spreads for miles. On May 1st, 1962, a massive boom and a cloud of dust followed the explosion. I checked my measurement strip. Its curve had sharply deviated from the radiation-free reference line. That's when I knew something was wrong.
Droite de référence, et je me suis rendu compte qu'il s'était passé quelque chose de grave.
The local population, completely left out of safety measures, is exposed and protected to massive radiation doses. With no evacuation plan in place, French authorities quickly downplay the incident.
J'avais un masque à gaz. Alors le masque à gaz.
I put my gas mask designed to block radioactive dust. Outside, panicked engineers rushed towards us, desperate for answers. Realizing they had no masks, I tore mine off and shouted, "Quick, put on your masks," but they had none.
Mes camarades du génie, qui très inquiets, venaient vers moi, scientifiques, pour savoir qu'est-ce qui s'était passé.
Since 1960, the Algerian Sahara has been a nuclear testing ground. Between Regan and In Iker, France conducts several tests, some in the open air, exposing the environment and locals to radiation.
De marcher sur ce chemin.
We must take responsibility and act with empathy, being transparent, identifying victims and environmental damage, and providing full support to survivors and future generations suffering from radiation-related illnesses.
Pour l'environnement, et il faudrait mettre tous en place pour aider les survivants.
The effects of these tests are still evident today. Cancer, birth defects, and contaminated land continue to plague local populations. Yet efforts to recognize victims face bureaucratic obstacles. In some areas, radiation will persist for 24,000 years.
Les cartes des zones contaminées toujours cachées.
The contaminated zone maps remain hidden and Algerians receive little to no compensation, an organized denial of a lasting crime. Benjamin Stora's 2021 report called for action, but nothing followed, just words, no justice. Meanwhile, radiation keeps killing. The Algerian Sahara still bears the scars of these tests, a crime that will last a millennia. Algerians demand three things: contamination maps, full decontamination, and fair compensation.
Des sites contaminés, un nettoyage et une dépollution complète, et enfin des indemnisations justes pour les victimes.
While waiting for these demands to be met, generations of Algerians continue to suffer the consequences of inhumane acts committed by a ruthless colonial power.
We remain in the same context to revisit war criminals of French colonization, Colonel Montagnac and Marshal Bijou, who used brutal tactics including beheadings, massacres and suffocating people in caves. Min al-Ma'afa once again with more details.
The colonization of Algeria was driven by a strategy of systematic terror. Among its enforcers was Colonel de Montagnac, notorious for his ruthless brutality and radical extermination tactics. In his letters, he openly advocated beheadings and mass massacres to crush all resistance.
Une tête coupée produit une terreur plus forte que la mort de 50 individus.
A severed head instills more terror than the death of 50 men. This chilling statement comes from a letter in which Colonel de Montagnac writes to his nephew, boasting about his brutal tactics in Algeria. He describes war as a means of total annihilation. He advocates of the mass execution of men over 15, the deportation of women and the children to newly conquered territories like the Marquises Island, and the extermination of anyone who does not submit like a dog at their feet.
Ou ailleurs, en un mot, anéantir tout ce qui ne rampera pas à nos pieds comme des chiens.
Another ruthless figure of this war was Marshal Bugeaud. Unlike his predecessors, he didn't just unleash brutal repression, he theorized it. Arriving in Algeria in 1840, he justified barbaric methods as tools of domination, exemplified by the Dahara massacres of 1845.
Bugeaud dit, mais qu'est-ce que c'est? Oh, il le dit pas, mais enfin.
Bugeaud makes it clear, I will show you how you bring the Algerians to their knees. His rule becomes the most brutal, with figures like Mauricière and Saint-Arnaud following suit. He orders General Pélissier to smoke them out like foxes, dehumanizing the colonized, though Pélissier hardly needed encouragement for cruelty.
La Mauricière.
France's colonization of Algeria was enforced through bloodshed and terror, led by war criminals like Montagnac and Bugeaud. They turned brutality into strategy, committing horrific crimes in a war of total extermination to expand France's colonial empire.
You are still watching Canal Algérie. Coming up in our news. The Zionist entity keeps breaching the ceasefire agreement with first strikes depicted by our correspondent on the ground. Welcome back to our news. In Morocco, systematic oppression is taking place against activists demonstrating for the right of the defenseless Moroccan people faced with a repressive government and a deteriorating economic situation and precarious living conditions. Leticia Tqawi reports.
The Moroccan citizen is beginning to lose all sense of belonging amid continuous crisis and deteriorating life conditions. In addition to a complete silence by their government, the demands are urgent and the streets are on the verge of explosion.
انا عندي 7 الولاد اش غنوكل لهم تراب اش غنوكل هاد الدراري اش غنوكل يلا قول لي اش غنوكلهم يلا كلشي غالي علينا
We are begging to have food. I have a handicapped child and another about to pass a baccalaureate. How am I supposed to take care of them? When the houses are demolished under the pretext of exercising the law and voices are oppressed, stability is lost and citizens find themselves between injustice and poverty. It is no longer isolated individual voices, but a popular turmoil and organized mass demonstrations warning of an unprecedented explosion in the face of a royal government that has lost all credibility. They're about to end up on the streets. They did not give them compensation. This is all we have. We have nowhere to go. The Makhzen policy exercises all form of persecution against its own defenseless people who have had enough and decided to take matters into their own hands.
As for the development on the ground, the occupied Palestinian territories, the Zionist entity continues striking displaced Palestinian towns in a flagrant violation of all international laws. Wissam Abu Zaid and Letizia Sadqawi with more details.
The Zionist war machinery did not stop killing defenseless civilians in the last few hours, from north of the Strip until the south, committing heinous crimes as part of a genocide in broad daylight. Among the martyrs are innocent children who were looking for water.
والله رضيت قطعا النفس نحتسب عند الله ايش اللي صار بالضبط ولا حاجه ابني راح يعبي ميه اجى شهيد جهاد ابني شهيد الجهاد.
These are one of the houses targeted by the Zionist occupier, as the missile penetrated several floors and killed the inhabitants of the house on their own beds, having no consideration to international law, which criminalizes the killing of civilians.
فوق عبر في قلب غرفتي من غرفتي نزل على الغرفة الثانية لغاية ما نزل تحت على الطابق اللي هو الثاني. عندنا شهداء أطفال كله أطفال شهداء أكوام لحم تمام قاعدة نلملم أكوام لحم.
This comes at a time when the Zionist occupation closes all crossing points amid rising warnings from the spread of famine among Gazan families who are now living in tents.
الحياة احنا محرومين منه، لا تقول لي اكل ولا تقول لي شرب، هذا كله احنا معدومين فيه، من الاول وفروا لنا الحياة. مع الامن فيش، هذا كله مش موجود، كيف بدنا ناكل ولا نشرب؟ يكون موجود اكل وشرب يعني فيش اكل وشرب.
The Zionist army continues its deadly destructive war on innocent civilians. Palestinians are now martyred in big numbers on the daily.
Back to Algeria, the last days of fasting are marked by an unprecedented solidarity wave across the national country. A case in point, in Tindouf province, where collective iftar was organized for all phase. 15 of them are from the Sahel refugee camps. Ammar Touagin and Letizia Sadqawi with more details in this concise report.
In an atmosphere of joy and smiles, these children are gathered for an iftar as part of an initiative organized by the authorities of Tindouf amid prevailing feelings of solidarity. This is a great initiative. We had many games and I met with my friends. I am very happy and thank you. I'm very happy with all of these games. My friends and I were given new clothes for Eid. We are here to distribute clothing to the orphans and organize this group iftar for 350 orphans from Tindouf and Western Sahara. This initiative was indeed also attended by children from the Sahrawi refugee camps and ended with a distribution of 315 new clothing items for that Eid. 50 of the Sahrawi children from La'youn are here, and this shows the strength of the solid brotherly relations based on solidarity and mutual support. This meal is to make the children happy and to give them presents and clothes for Eid. Indeed, it is an initiative that reflects the Algerian values, especially in the blessed month of Ramadan.
With this, we come to the end of our news bulletin. Tomorrow, another day of the news. Keep tuning to our channel. Take care. Bye-bye for now.